Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into Eternal Rome, the rise and fall of an empire. We're talking about a civilization with such sheer ambition and military might that it stretched entirely across Europe, swept right through the deserts of North Africa, and completely dominated the Middle East, before, inevitably crashing down.
And honestly, that leaves us with a massive historical mystery. How exactly did one single city become the greatest empire the world had ever seen? And more importantly, why did it eventually collapse? I mean, picture it. Legions of highly trained soldiers marching in terrifying unison under these gleaming golden eagles, conquering the known world, only to suffer one of the most heavily debated and honestly dramatic falls in all of human history. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The Rise of Augustus.
So, the transition from a chaotic, turbulent republic to a singularly ruled empire really hinges on just a few crucial years. In 31 BC, at the Battle of Actium, Octavian didn't just win a naval battle. He completely cornered the combined forces of Mark Antony and Cleopatra, effectively wiping his major political rivals right off the board. Then, by 27 BC, he adopts a new title, Augustus, becoming Rome's very first emperor. And the profound irony here? By claiming he was going to restore the Republic, he actually destroyed it. He turned the once mighty Roman Senate into what was basically a glorified advisory board operating entirely in his shadow.
Part 2. Centuries of Roman Peace.
200. That is exactly how many years the Pax Romana lasted. 2 solid centuries of relative peace across the entire Mediterranean world. Now, why this matters to you is because that kind of long-term stability breeds completely unprecedented innovation. We're talking vast, sprawling trade routes bringing silk from China and spices from the East, right alongside engineering marvels like the aqueducts that literally transformed how cities worked. Oh, and here's a fun fact for you. Roman concrete was so chemically advanced that it actually gets stronger over time when it's exposed to seawater, which is exactly why so many of their massive structures are still dominating the European landscape today.
This whole golden era was really architected by leaders who left some incredible physical legacies. You've got Augustus laying the foundation, of course. Then there's Trajan, who pushed Rome's borders out to their absolute maximum territorial expansion. After him comes Hadrian, who sort of realized, okay, we can't expand forever, and literally walled off the northern frontier in Britain. And finally, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, trying his absolute best to hold the whole thing together with Stoic philosophy as that golden age finally started to wane. Really, these guys shaped both the mental and physical borders of the Western world.
But hey, Rome was a lot more than just emperors plotting on marble thrones, right? Everyday life in the empire was this vibrant, incredibly diverse tapestry. You had the intense, bloody spectacle of the gladiator games, and all that vital political networking happening daily in the massive public baths. But the true backbone of the whole society, that was the quiet, gritty reality, the ordinary farmers out working the fields, and the soldiers stationed on these lonely, freezing frontiers that stretched all the way from the rainy shores of Britain down to the sun-baked deserts of Egypt.
And this setup created a massive, stark divide in Roman society. On one side, you have the ultra-wealthy lounging in these luxurious villas, with intricate mosaics, imported delicacies, and literally having underfloor heating systems. I mean, think about that for the ancient world. On the flip side, though, you've got soldiers shivering in the mud and ordinary farmers practically breaking their backs to feed this sprawling, ever-hungry empire. So the so-called glory of Rome really truly depended on which side of the tax bracket you were sitting on.
Part 3. The empire begins to crack. Because, of course, a golden age like that simply couldn't last forever. The empire had just expanded way too far. Soon enough, a brutal domino effect begins, leading right into what historians call the crisis of the 3rd century. First, political chaos leads to emperors being overthrown and assassinated at a dizzying rate. We're talking sometimes several different emperors in a single year. To pay off the military during all this, they heavily devalue the currency. That triggers massive economic inflation, just wiping out generational wealth overnight. This internal chaos then sparks relentless civil wars, which, you guessed it, drains the frontiers of essential troops. And that perfectly set the stage for opportunistic, increasing barbarian invasions.
Part 4. Constantine and a New Faith. Now, amidst all this burning chaos, a massive cultural pivot happened that completely changed human history. Before the pivotal Battle of the Milvian Bridge, tradition tells us that Constantine saw a vision of a Christian symbol in the sky, the Chi Rho. Winning that battle led him to issue the Edict of Milan, officially legalizing Christianity and finally bringing it out of the shadows. After that, he makes this drastic, totally landscape-altering move to pack up the capital and move it east, founding Constantinople. In one fell swoop, Rome's geographic power center and its deeply rooted religious identity were transformed forever.
Part 5. The Fall and Eternal Legacy.
But even with a brand new capital and a new faith, time was simply running out for the West. A relentless wave of invasions just pounded the borders. First the Visigoths, then the Vandals, then this terrifying mounting pressure from the Huns. It all finally culminated in 476 AD. And in this dark, almost poetic stroke of historical irony, the very last Western emperor, who was deposed by the Germanic king Odoacer, was just a teenager, a boy named Romulus Augustulus, literally carrying the names of both Rome's mythical founder and its first emperor. With him, the proud golden eagle standards finally fell to the dirt.
But listen, we aren't just ending this by looking at a bunch of old ruins. Rome's laws, its incredible engineering, and its culture still heavily shape our world today. What you should take away from this is that the romantic languages we speak, the complex legal systems that govern our societies, and even the civic architecture of our modern cities, they all carry the undeniable DNA of Rome. Which leaves us with a fascinating, actually almost haunting, question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If an empire as vast, powerful, and seemingly eternal as Rome can completely collapse from within and without, well, what does that mean for the great, complex superpowers of our world today?